I don't know if I would say this story ended with a cliffhanger. I was expecting more because I felt okay, this story is not complete, but if you look at it, what else do you want? What else do you want Chimamanda to say? Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Adichie, and if this is your first time on this channel or you're a returning viewer, you're highly welcome. And if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed yet to this channel, please click on the subscribe button down below, like this video and share to your friends. For this video, I'm going to be reviewing a short story written by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and the title is Apollo. I came upon this story when I logged into my Instagram. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie was actually doing a giveaway, just like she had done for a short story Olikoye. I'm thinking she's starting this as a trend just to encourage people to read more, and it's a wonderful thing that she's doing. If you've not watched my review on a short story Olikoye, I'll be putting a link of the video in both in my description box, and I'll be leaving a card at the top of the screen, so you can just click on the card and watch my review on it. So this short story Apollo tells the story of Okenwa, the houseboy his parents had while he was growing up, Raphael, and his parents too. So Okenwa is the only child of his parents, and his parents, they are both professors, so they are well educated. And he being the only child, it was even hard when his parents were already advanced in age. So there's a part in the story where the mom was telling him that when she got pregnant with him, she felt it was the start of menopause for her, but it wasn't so. This story just talks about Okenwa's childhood. So the fact that his parents were very educated, they expected more from him, but the thing about him was that he didn't have this enthusiasm about education while growing up, and he and his parents could not really relate when it comes to books, education, and every other thing that has to do with education. But they had this houseboy. In fact, when Okenwa was growing up, they had series of houseboys, but the one that actually made an impact on him was Raphael. So Raphael, being a houseboy in the household where Okenwa grew up, much thought was not given to him, but he and Okenwa, they could actually relate with their love for Kung Fu. So they shared a passion for Kung Fu and watching Bruce Lee movies, and so they would practice together, watch these movies together. With the love Okenwa's parents had for him, they couldn't really understand him. For them, it just had to be about education, it had to be about books, seeing that they were professors. But Raphael and Okenwa, they had this common ground. So it would feel like it was Raphael that really understood Okenwa. There was this unlikely friendliness between both of them, and even Okenwa's parents didn't even know that Okenwa and Raphael, they spent time together, and they did things together. I would say the defining episode for them was when Raphael contracted Apollo. So Apollo is an eye disease. I don't know if outside the country or outside Nigeria people refer to it as Apollo, but here in Nigeria there's what we call Apollo, and sometimes it's believed that there's this white, I don't know, if I think it's a white plant or so, that if the thing passes, that it to make you to have Apollo. I just know Apollo is Apollo, but there are different beliefs about what causes Apollo, and that's white plant that flies. I'll try and see if I can get a picture too. Most Nigerians can relate to this white plant that flies, that just moves about, and they'll say if you open your eye or if you look at it, you get Apollo. Raphael had Apollo, so he was banished to the boys' quarters by Okenwa's parents, and what they did for him was just to get him eye drops from the pharmacy. And he was not allowed to come into the main house. He was just there. Okenwa on his own part just sneaked into the boys' quarters, and there he helped Raphael apply the eye drops, and he would sneak into the boys' quarters from time to time up until when Raphael got better, his eyes cleared, he was well, and he could come back into the main house. Apollo, this eye disease Apollo, is actually contagious. That's why when people have Apollo, they wear sunglasses so that people will not really know. Yes, it's a mild sickness or so, but it's the fact that it's contagious. So there's just this stigma kind of, and people just tend to run away from you. The people that will even take care of you when you have Apollo most times are your family and maybe a few friends, but when people see that you have Apollo, they just try to avoid you, and it's understandable a bit because it is contagious and they don't want to contact anything. So now Okenwa contracted this Apollo, and his parents, they brought in the doctor. So it was a doctor that was even treating Okenwa, and now the difference just stood out. Raphael had this Apollo, and no doctor was called in to come and see him or take care of him. He was just banished to the boys' quarters. And now their own precious child, Okenwa, had this Apollo, and he was taken care of. His parents, they doted on him so much. He was a precious child to them, and they just did all their best to nurse him to health. And Okenwa on his own end was feeling bad that Raphael hadn't come to see him, seeing that when Raphael had this Apollo, Okenwa had, against his parents' wishes, he had snuck out of the house, tended to Raphael, and now Raphael was nowhere to be found. So on one of those days when his parents were not around, he came out of the house, and there he saw Raphael talking to a house girl from another house. He voiced out his displeasure for Raphael not coming to see him, and it was at that point when they were still having that discussion that Okenwa's parents came into the house, and it just happened that Okenwa fell at that time. And rather than say the truth that he lost his balance and fell, Okenwa, out of spite, lied that it was Raphael that pushed him. And his parents, they did not even give Raphael room for explanation, or for him to, they didn't even ask him questions. Why would he do that? What caused it? They didn't even think that maybe it might just have been a fight or try to settle it. They just sent Raphael packing. Looking at this in retrospect, we'd see that as Okenwa grew up, his parents were older now. They were in their 80s, and he would come to visit them twice a month. They would give him stories about things that were happening. I'll speak for myself here. When I'm not always around, or maybe I just go away, or like the time when I was even in boarding school or I was in university, by the time I come back home, my parents will just give me the gist of everything that I've missed out on. So it's just like that. That's just how it is in this short story. When they were discussing about the increased rate of crime in the country, so they told him that some time ago some robbers were caught by a vigilante group, and if not for the early intervention of the police, they would have been lynched, because already the angry crowd had thrown tires over their necks. There was shout for petrol and matches just to burn them alive. The crazy thing about it was the ringleader of these robbers was actually Raphael. So Raphael, their houseboy. So his parents didn't even know that he and Raphael, they had been close at a point, and they had made good memories together. And they were just like, you won't remember him, you remember him, but he knows Raphael. So it was shocking. And it was sad for me. I felt really, really sad reading this story, because now it just puts to perspective all the things that are wrong with our society, not even society as a whole, all the things that are wrong with human beings. So treating people badly, maltreating people, it's not only a Nigerian thing. It's a human thing, because people just tend to be mean, or just to be wicked, or just neglect other people's children just because it's not your child. So the fact that you can provide them with shelter, food, they should be grateful. But there are other things that a child needs to be responsible, or to grow well. And yes, it's not a guarantee that they will turn out to be good individuals in the society, but at least it's a step or two steps more to guiding them in the right path. Now look at the issue. If Okenwa's parents, the same way they had been so pinned on making Okenwa appreciate education, just follow their footsteps, what if they had done that for Raphael? What if they had enrolled him in a good school, treated him like their own child? For people that have just one child, I felt that they will be more accommodating to taking care of other people too. But this was not the case with with Okenwa's parents and Raphael. So the fact that Raphael was, sent away with no hope, and if Raphael had stayed back in Okenwa's parents, if he had not been sent away from the home, if he had stayed back in Okenwa's parents' house, it's not a guarantee that he wouldn't have turned out to be a robber in the end. But I've seen that the environment was not enabling to actually be a wonderful individual in the society. But it would have been something, it would have been something. At least it just would have been something. It would have done a lot more for Raphael than just leaving him to go and inculcate nonsense manners. I could also understand why Okenwa would lie against Raphael out of spite. See, Okenwa's parents, they loved him in their own way. Yes, they did, but I feel maybe the love was not enough because they didn't really understand him. So when Okenwa met Raphael and Raphael understood him, understood how he thought and everything, so I feel there was this kind of bond that Okenwa had already formed with Raphael. So there was this trust that he had placed in Raphael. He felt Raphael would always have his back. So the fact that Raphael had not even come to see him or even taking the risks to seek him out, unlike how Okenwa did in his own time. But another thing is, if Okenwa's parents had caught him sneaking into Raphael's room in the boys' quarters, the consequences would not have been there on Okenwa. Highest, his parents would just scold him, but they would blame Raphael. Talk more of when they catch Raphael sneaking into Okenwa's room. It would have been crazy. So I understood that Raphael was trying to save himself from tongue lashing and any punishments that might come with him trying to seek out his friend. But I understood Okenwa too, because just that betrayal. So he felt this betrayal. And there are so many issues to pick out from this short story. So many issues. You wonder that a story that is so short, it just managed to touch so many aspects in the society, in the human life. And I don't know if I would say this story ended with a cliffhanger, but as always, of course, I was expecting more. I just wanted to read more because I felt okay, this story is not complete. But if you look at it, what else do you want what else do you want Chimamanda to say? Like, she had just given a short story like that. Another thing that comes into perspective was when Okenwa visited Raphael in the boys' quarters, where Raphael was living was nothing to write home about. And I wonder why Okenwa's parents would even do that way. For people that are educated, they are highly educated, why was it so hard for them to accept Raphael as one of their own? Why did they have to let him stay in the boys' quarters? I don't understand. Yes, he was a houseboy, but I really do not understand. And when Okenwa was tending to Raphael, Okenwa noticed that Raphael had this ringworm on his body, and I was thinking, would Okenwa's parents have allowed ringworm to be on their precious son's body? See, Raphael was not living his best life while he was living with Okenwa's parents. That's just the truth. They did not treat him well, and this just puts a lot of things into the light, because it just shows that most of these children that go to work as houseboys and house girls, they are met with terrible fates, from maltreatment to malnourishment to sexual abuse, to all these things. And it's just, I wish everybody would just take it upon themselves to just try to treat other people better, especially when they are in your household. Just try to treat them better. It will not take you anything. And it was just so annoying reading about Raphael's living condition in Okenwa's house. And another funny thing is that, okay, seeing that Okenwa's parents, they treated this boy this way, and now years later they are telling their son, they are giving their son gist he's now a robber and how he was caught. And I'm like, they could have actually stopped this. They could have nipped this in the bud. If they had helped him, if they had trained him well. Of course, it's hard for someone that has good education to come and say, okay, I want to start robbing. So his parents, they have a hand in the way Raphael turned out in the future. Another issue that was talked about in this short story was lynching. Guys, it is so crazy that lynching is not a thing of the past when it comes to the Nigerian society. No, it's not a thing of the past. People still get lynched, and it is so terrible. Oh my god, I wonder why you would be present, and you would even be one of those people who want to take the life of another individual. No matter what they have done, just hand them over to the police. That is why we have the police. Why go through this jungle justice? Why do you have to be a party to this jungle justice? Imagine. And sometimes some of these individuals have been saved due to the timely intervention of the police, but what of those ones that have ended up being killed? I'm not even going to forget the Alu4. If you do not know about the Alu4, you can just Google it. But 4 university students were lynched. If you read the story of the case, they were wrongly accused of cultism or robbery. One nonsense accusation, and these 4 lives were cut short just because an angry mob decided to take laws into their own hands without proper investigation. And may their souls rest in perfect peace. But it's just the case with this country. I do not know why in the 21st century some people just, in fact, another thing that is looked into is superstition, the belief in the supernatural. So if someone dies, in Nigeria we don't believe that someone will just stay and just die. No, there must be a supernatural linking to someone's death. This supernatural stuff and everything is just so crazy. And we see that Okenwa's parents, the fact that they were professors and they did not believe this in their heydays, but when they got older, when they got to their 80s, they just came down, like, back to base, back to the roots, and started believing these things. It's just, I feel it's just a Nigerian thing, or it's just an African thing. When it comes to supernatural beliefs, there must always be a supernatural linking to someone's death. Someone cannot just... And that's the end of my review to this short story. If you want to read this short story, please check my description box down below. I'll be leaving a link to the story so you can read, and please come back to share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like this video, share this video, and also subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my very next video. Bye guys.